Food isn't waste until it's actually wasted. Some of the food that we're looking at is perfectly good.
Millions of tons of food waste mount in U.S. landfills every year.
In the U.S., we waste up to 40% of our food supply.
To help solve the problem, chefs across the country are wielding their expertise.
People rely on chefs and the culinary community to help with education on how we can be less wasteful in the kitchen.
And transforming scraps destined for the trash into delicious, nutritious meals.
We'll take the things that have a little bit of a ding, a little bit of a scratch, and we'll make the soups and the meals out of those.
From fighting climate change.
This was the #1 thing that we could do to combat climate change.
This?
Yeah. Rescuing food waste.
To relieving food insecurity.
So if we eliminated food waste, could we eliminate
Hunger, yes.
Their innovations are helping to fight some of the most monumental issues of our time.
I get excited when I see something like that. It is a little bit harder to work with something like that, but I feel like it's our responsibility.
For our menu, if you prefer not to make any decisions tonight, we have a special scrap tasting menu. So that's where our chefs use fun scraps from the kitchen and make some tasty treats for you.
Great. I will do the scrap tasting menu.
Wonderful, nice and easy. We'll get that going for you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this restaurant incorporates kitchen scraps and food waste into its menus. I'm really curious to check it out. I have no idea what to expect, and I know that this could go terribly, terribly wrong.
You can fire 3 more moves.
4 to 10% of food that restaurants purchase never makes it to a customer. And over a third of food served to customers goes uneaten, costing restaurants billions every year. Here at Sullivan's Scrap Kitchen, Chef Terrence Rogers is trying to change that.
Just got a little amuse-bouche for you.
Looks beautiful. Just does not look like kitchen scraps at all. This is great. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. This is very good. Basically like an Italian rice ball that's been fried. It's really good.
I never went to culinary school, but I know good food when I taste it. And these dishes, using ingredients that are typically thrown away, defied my expectations. This arancini uses old risotto rice, stewed apples left over from brunch, and extra brie meant for a charcuterie board. The green coconut curry fish chowder features unattractive salmon, and it's garnished with a potato chip that's a few days old. The brisket carbonara uses chopped brisket scraps and hides egg yolks left over from making meringues. And finally, an apple cinnamon creme brulee makes use of more of those leftover egg yolks and apples. But aside from being delicious, these dishes are also trying to solve a colossal problem.
What is food waste?
Food isn't waste until it's actually wasted. So, some of the food that we're looking at is perfectly good, fresh produce that just never gets harvested, or, a big pan of mac and cheese in the back of a cafeteria that never gets served. And then other times it really is kind of waste. It's actually much more complicated than one thing. But what we see is that throughout our food system, there is so much extra food that ultimately we're not using, and it's going to waste.
In the US, between 30 to 40% of food is wasted every year. The vast majority filling landfills, rotting in fields, or floating in sewers. More food reaches landfills than any other single material in everyday trash. In 2021 alone, the US wasted 80 million tons of food. The largest share is residential trash thrown away by individual consumers, but 16% flows directly from the food service industry.
There are a number of restaurants that are picking up on this and utilizing surplus foods, upcycling. What sort of an impact can restaurants have?
being able to absorb some of that surplus food that is out there is a great way to like increase the efficiency of the whole system and utilize things and waste less. Restaurants that have relationships maybe directly with a farmer or even a distributor, they can go and have that conversation of like, oh, you have all these tomatoes that got hit by hail and so they have marks on them. That's okay. I'll make a special stew with those or something. And so I think that ability of chefs to be creative, to react pretty quickly to what's available is an important factor in being able to use up some of this extra food, because oftentimes it is pretty last minute.
Around the world, chefs are using their influence to help mobilize the fight against food waste. Terrence Rogers is one of many here in the U.S.
Our focus is reducing food waste and promoting sustainability in the kitchen. We've got a catering business that has its own food, so sometimes we have imperfect pieces of fish or vegetables or little things that we might not want to serve on these plates. So we kind of built a restaurant with the idea of using these odd and end pieces around it to kind of round out the plates, these scraps.
So when I hear the word scrap, I think leftovers, I think unwanted pieces of meat or fish or vegetable. Are they sort of, I don't know, second-rate ingredients to work with?
Yes and no. They might not be the most highly sought after, but that doesn't mean they're not delicious. Like you could peel a carrot. You maybe want to serve that carrot without its skin on or anything else, but that skin has a ton of flavor in it. You just wouldn't want to eat a peel of carrot, so you have to find a way to manipulate the ingredients. And I think that's from us, from a culinary side, really gets us excited because we get to be creative with that. It's like, okay, what can we do? People might think we're just serving like leftovers that we were about to serve at an event that we didn't, brought back, cool down, and are serving them now, which just isn't the case because we have to keep food safety at first and foremost in the kitchen. So they are second-rate ingredients, but that doesn't mean they have to be second-rate food. You just have to manipulate them, and you have to, do what we all love doing out here, cook.
So this is your weekly visit.
Weekly ritual, yeah,
Okay.
for the past maybe 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long time.
Kayla Abe is the co-founder of Shuggie's Trash Pies, a restaurant in self-proclaimed food waste paradise. Every week, she buys local vendors' unsellable or undesired product.
Today, we have kind of a special pickup.
Yeah.
Anything from these, quote, ugly chocolates born out of a kitchen blender,
Got the belt too hot when I was panning them, so I ended up with one big ball of hazelnuts and vegan milk chocolate.
to these slightly off-color but perfectly edible walnuts,
I mean, it's just like a shade darker.
Very lightly, yeah.
to these squat carrots that a typical buyer like me would probably look right past.
This is quite unattractive. What do you have to say to that?
I look at it like it's more like being curious about it than just going for the regular carrots.
Yeah.
Kind of like for me is really more sweet and tender, or smaller, better.
And then when you see this, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I get excited when I see something like that. Even in a lot of kitchens, they want something a little bit more uniform. Grocery stores for sure wants uniformity. But even like for prep in a kitchen, like it is a little bit harder to work with something like that, but also I feel like it's our responsibility.
While Kayla organizes her food waste haul, back at Shuggie's Trash Pies, her co-founder and lead chef David Murphy is prepping one of their famed trash pies.
So I'm told that I have to earn my meal today.
Oh yeah.
So what are we doing today?
Get you a sexy little apron here. Let's get you all suited up. Today we're gonna be making one of our best pizzas. It's called a sausage party.
Sausage party, okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna be spreading out some dough today. A really cool part about our dough is that at the base of it, it's made with whey from the cheese making process, and then spent oats that are from the oat milk making process that are then milled down into a flour. You'll see this a little bit later carried over into our dessert. We save all this stuff, we bake it off, and then we mill it down into a crumb, which we make into a crumble with a ton of butter, a ton of discolored walnuts, and that's gonna go on our dessert a little bit later.
You've been in non-trash kitchens before. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, baby, oh yeah.
You would have thrown this away?
We would have tested that, for sure. Once you get up to like Michelin level cuisine, there's so much discard. We've all been trained for decades to go after the perfect tomato, right? One without a blemish, one that's like perfect and ripe and juicy that doesn't have like a weird knob or a scar. And that's what's really cool about this is like just showing people, hey, you can take all that stuff that would have otherwise gone just by the wayside and help rescue that stuff. All right, here we go, 60-60 sausage.
Oh, nice.
That was beautiful. Let's do it.
I would not have imagined that this is trash, that this is a trash pie. So where did this idea come from?
I think really the start of our food waste journey really came from talking to farmers at the farmers market. After growing and harvesting and transporting food, having to deal with waste just because of cosmetic irregularity or surplus, bumps in harvest that they needed to move really quickly. We just felt like we could do something on a local level to help sequester some of that waste, and later realized the massive climate impact that all of this wasted food has as well.
While statistics range due to complicated data sets, one study found that food waste in the U.S. emitted close to 1 trillion pounds of carbon dioxide equivalent in 2017. That's like driving over 100 million gas-powered cars for 1 year, or burning over 500 billion pounds of coal.
The climate footprint of food waste is actually larger than that of the entire aviation industry. And that's really happening for 3 reasons. First, when food goes to landfills, it rots there and produces methane, which is a powerful greenhouse gas. Second, it takes a huge amount of resources to grow, harvest, cool, cook, transport food, and get it to our tables. And third, food is really one of the key drivers of the land pressures that are leading to deforestation and other conversion of NATO ecosystems.
Project Drawdown, a nonprofit analyzing climate solutions, ranked reducing food waste as a top climate change mitigation strategy out of 76 potential options.
I think in general, we're all aware of the climate crisis we're in, and people feel compelled to do something on a personal level. And by coming here and eating, we're giving people a pretty a pretty simple way to come eat, have a good time, and still do something positive.
I'm going to indulge in a sausage party and then save the world. while
Right.
I'm
There
at
you
it.
go. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Simple terms, absolutely.
We're going to call this chicken piccata. So one of the things we rescued this week were lots and lots of capers. It's a little berry that's a lot like a pickle. It's used in a lot of French food. We rescued it from a restaurant that is no longer in business.
Chef Susie Dion, daughter of award-winning chef Pierre Adrien, is the founder of La Soupe, a nonprofit dedicated to using food waste to fight food insecurity in the greater Cincinnati area. Here, 270,000 households are considered food insecure.
We did 450 of these today, of these meals.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So this is the exact same dish that you and I are going to have.
Yep, that they just served. So it's really important, no matter what your socioeconomic background is, that you will enjoy a good meal. You get this. You get the hot plate, dude.
Oh.
I'm going to pretend I'm eating.
Oh, my God.
Is it good?
How is food waste pertinent to the issue of food insecurity?
It could feed the food insecure 3 meals a day. I know that. Like,
So if we eliminated food waste, could we eliminate
hunger. Yes.
Nationwide, 35 million Americans were food insecure in 2019. But the amount of surplus food from retailers and consumers could feed over 4 times that number.
It's not a lack of food, it's a lack of systems, distribution systems, to get the food in a manageable way for most people. That's why we choose to cook it. We'll take the dinged strawberry. Or
You know what to do with it.
We know what to do with it. You cut it off. It doesn't mean it's food waste. You just use it,
Yeah.
cook it.
This is the chaos that ensues here every morning. Shipments are just coming in, pouring in. And I mean, it's like going to the supermarket. You've got all this fresh produce, deli meats, perfectly good veggie trays, cheeses, juice. This is crazy.
Yes, this is the chaos. This happens just from Kroger 3 times a week, and then on top of all the other rescues that we do.
And this is all, I mean, this is all
Broadway.
perfectly good.
Yeah. So this is stuff that's was packaged before you even went to the grocery store. So this is from the distribution center. So they have to have a certain amount of shelf life before it even gets to the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
So we have radicchio, mushrooms, green beans, Swiss chard.
Wow. This is not cheap.
No, no.
Half of the 10.5 million tons of food waste generated by grocery retailers is a result of concerns over date labels, which are not federally regulated for the majority of products, causing confusion and unnecessary waste. And this food is donated to them at no cost. On any given week, La Soupe diverts nearly 13 tons of food from the landfill. Anything might land on their front step, from perfect salmon fillets rejected due to broken packaging, to 2,000 pounds of quinoa rejected because a product was discontinued, to 46,000 pounds of onion rejected by a wholesaler for unknown reasons. And much of this product will end up being transformed into La Soupe's bread and butter, soup.
So what are you cooking up today?
We have to make about 120, 140 gallons of soup a day to keep up with our demand. So I kind of went shopping through our walk-in, got eggplant, onions, a little bit of endive. Got lots of tomatoes that came in. They're washed and ready to go. I got some tahini, a couple different spices. So probably gonna make some kind of Middle Eastern tomatoey baba ganoush kind of soup.
Everyone that I've spoken to here has said that this place feels like you're constantly in an episode of Chopped.
Oh, probably, yeah.
And it kind of all falls on you as the executive chef.
A little bit. I kind of am like the director of chaos a little bit. As things come through the door, like it's kind of opposite. I've been in the industry for 27 years. It's opposite from anybody anywhere else, where as a chef, you're like, I want the best looking things. But here, we want those better looking vegetables and fruits to go out to the pantry so that people can have like really nice, fresh produce.
Right.
And then we'll take the things that have a little bit of a ding, a little bit of a scratch, and we'll make the soups and the meals out of those. So we know how to cook around it. We know to, prepare it.
Since you started La Soupe in 2014, do you have any sense as to how much food you've rescued from the landfill?
4.5 million pounds we've rescued.
That you transformed or donated?
Correct.
I can't even fathom how much food that is.
And that's one little person in one little city in America. Like, that's just here.
Despite being one little person, Susie has one massive operation. On top of the thousands of pounds of food transformed and donated every week, La Soupe also takes its surplus food and distributes it for free every Friday.
So how is everything going this morning?
Really well. Everyone lined up pretty quickly, and the line's flowing pretty smoothly today. I brought 373 pounds of produce today, 674 of protein, and 108 of bread, then 234 pounds of deli meat.
Wow.
So this is Jean. She comes every week. One of my favorite people.
You say you're here every week?
Every week,
Yeah.
every single week.
And you're picking up food for people who can't afford?
Unfortunate,
Yeah.
Less fortunate for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she struggles so hard to work 5 days a week to get her kids, and sometimes they don't get to go to the grocery stores, So that's me. I'm that grocery store.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing.
Yeah.
A blessing to everyone. And I thank you, ma'am.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's my love right here. What would we do without you?
Oh, yeah, right.
I've never heard music like this here.
The thing I love is watching the cooks finally get to interact with the people they're feeding.
So they see and feel the impact.
And they have conversations to come back and say, hey, y'all, you know, the soup was way bland last week. They wanted it spicier. Or, you know, and it's valuable information that you're getting in real time. I love it.
That's a ciabatta bread.
From Susie's nonprofit soups to Terrence's classical scrap dishes to Kayla and David's playful trash pies, chefs are proving there's no wrong way to fight food waste.
Do you think that chefs have a responsibility to helping shape how the public sees and interacts with food?
I do. Our industry, as a 50-year survivor of restaurant world, went through a lot through COVID. And I think we're much more tuned in to how everything can collapse. Everything can collapse in a minute. Having a plan of how to keep people fed should be in every single city.
Someone has to kind of like take the lead and push and help educate people on how to be less wasteful in their kitchen, because you work, you know, full-time job, you've got a family, you've got kids, so you're not going to be spending, 40 hours a week figuring out how to reduce the food waste in your own life. So I think people rely on chefs and the culinary community to help with education on how we can be less wasteful in the kitchen.
Any responsible chef should be out there putting this into practice in their menus. It is up to us. Us as chefs have the ability to influence food markets. If we can do it here, that means other people can start to build on that and do that in other places. So if anybody wants to throw down in the kitchen, you bring me your waste, I'll give you mine, and we can throw down.